This week we had now we're back to Leela's. After Lord Brahma had departed, the narration transfers now to when the boys we read last week, how they turned from 5 to 6 years old and thus started taking care of cows. And there was a beautiful description of how Krishna spends time with his friends, which was elaborated more upon in the beginning of this week. And then we get to the point where the boys make a request for tall fruits. Tall fruits are kind of soft and juicy, have a big, huge nut in the middle of them. So let us enter into that pastime of Talavan and Dhenukasura. Samapriya, can you please pick someone? We got
Hare
November
Krishna.
2024, lessons 5 and 6, continuing,
Okay.
chapter 15, the killing of Dhenukasura.
Hare Krishna. Nice to see everyone here today. And let's begin this chapter with Acharya. Would you please honor us by reading?
Thank you. Yes. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 15, Text 10 through 12, Sarartha Darshini. Sometimes the honeybees in Vrindavan became so mad with ecstasy that they closed their eyes and began to sing. Lord Krishna, moving along the forest path with his cowherd boyfriends and Baladev, would then respond to the bees by imitating their singing while his friends sang about his pastimes. Sometimes Lord Krishna would imitate the chattering of a parrot, sometimes with a sweet voice the call of a cuckoo, and sometimes the cooing of swans. Sometimes he vigorously imitated the dancing of a peacock, making his cowherd boyfriends laugh. Sometimes, with a voice as deep as the rumbling of clouds, he would call out with great affection the names of the animals who had wandered far from the herd, thus enchanting the cows and the cowherd boys. Sometimes he would cry out in imitation of birds, such as the chakoras, kronchas, chakravas, bharadwajas, and peacocks. And sometimes he would run away with the smaller animals in mock fear of lions and tigers.
Go on, Acharya.
Okay, well, I just want to take a moment because I see Caitlin joined us. Welcome, Caitlin. Nice to see you again.
Yeah.
Hi. For your information, when we first started transferring from chapter 13, which was when Lord Brahma stole the calves and cows, and then chapter 14, we began in August with his prayers. Online, I always put the Krishna book texts first, and then the Sarartha Darshini, which is Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur's commentary. However, it's a little confusing. It's not easy to listen to. It's a new format. So during the Zooms, and I don't think you were here when we started to do this, we switched it over so that what we're doing is reading the texts from Srimad Bhagavatam in the Srimad Sarartha Darshini first, and then reading the Krishna book second. So the whole thing is like comparing the two and making our way through the book, since both of them enhance one another, just for clarity. So this is Sarartha Darshini, and this next slide, Acharya, is also Sarartha Darshini, and then there's the Krishna book version of the two. So go ahead and continue. Just wanted to point that out.
I should continue reading?
Yes, please. Thanks.
Okay. Text 13 through 15, Sarartha Darshini. Sometimes he would cry out in imitation of birds, such as the chakoras, kronchas, chakrahavas, and bharadwajas and peacocks, and sometimes he would run away with the smaller animals in mock fear of lions and tigers. When his elder brother, fatigued from playing, would lie down with his head upon the lap of a cowherd boy, Lord Krishna would help him relax by personally massaging his feet and offering other services. Sometimes, as the cowherd boys danced, sang, moved about, and playfully fought with each other, Krishna and Balaram, standing nearby, hand in hand, would glorify their friends' activities and laugh.
You can also read the next one, which is the Krishna book version of those same verses.
Krishna book, text 10 through 15. The cows taken care of by Krishna had different names, and Krishna would call them with love. After hearing Krishna calling, the cows would immediately respond by mooing, and the boys would enjoy this exchange to their heart's content. They would all imitate the sound vibrations made by the different kinds of birds, especially the chakoras, peacocks, cuckoo, and bharadwajas. Sometimes when they would see the weaker animals fleeing out of fear of the sound of tigers and lions, the boys, along with Krishna and Balaram, would imitate the animals and run away with them. When they felt some fatigue, they would sit down, and Balaram would put his head on the lap of one of the boys just to take rest. And Krishna would immediately come and begin massaging the legs of Balaram. And sometimes he would take a palm fan and fan the body of Balaram, causing a pleasing breeze to relieve him of his fatigue. Other boys would sometimes dance or sing while Balaram took rest, and sometimes they would wrestle among themselves or jump.
Okay, that is so beautiful. I want to ask you what stood out to you in this verse. Patsy, could you please put it back to the verses?
You want the verses or you want the Krishna book?
No, the Krishna book is good. And explain to me what this means that Krishna related to the animals with love, and then they responded. So what does that show us, really?
I don't know if I could explain anything, but it's just a beautiful picture that just as Krishna is relating perfectly with his friends as as a friend and playing with them and just like one of them, so with the cows also he's relating perfectly and they're also reciprocating back with him. It's just the perfect Krishna of Krishna being the perfect object of love for everyone.
Good. And what can we learn from this in our own dealings?
I don't know, take it as an inspiration. I don't know practically. I'm not sure how much except to go on hearing about it and get a taste for it and become attracted to it.
Okay. But it also shows us that we have to relate to each other with love,
Sure.
to relate to all living entities with love, and that will call for on the other side a positive response.
Yes.
So this is an important lesson. It's interesting to dig into Prabhupada's words, these very profound life lessons.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I really like what you said there because the cowherd boys, they're Krishna's their sole object of love, but at the same time they're also all there together and they're playing with each. It's not that they're worshiping Krishna and all the other cowherd boys can go to hell. I'm with Krishna, but they're also relating with them and the cows and everything with them.
Good, because that's not a symptom of love of God, that you love God and no one else.
Right. That's the Sabhakta Prakrita Smrita, who worships God but doesn't know how to deal with anyone else.
You fight. Pati?
As he was reading it, I was just thinking how Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. We know that. And of all the activities, anywhere at all, in this world or the other, this is what he finds the most pleasure in. Playing with his friends, going out to the forest. Srila Prabhupada, in one lecture, I couldn't find it, or I just remembered it, explains that this is like the perfection of childhood. It was clean water, it was clean air, it's all natural. They get a lot of exercise in a very natural way. They don't have to go to the gym and, use machines. And all polluted and condensed and working in a cubicle. They're out and enjoying, and he loves the cows and he loves his boyfriend, his cowherd friends. It's just interesting to contemplate how the supreme enjoyer could do anything. And this is what he chooses. This is his pinnacle of enjoyment. And then, of course, he's going to sneak off and meet some of the gopis later. But he enjoys this as a daily activity, being with his friends and playing like this.
That shows us all association.
Mm.
We're all just like yearning for association. Because why? Because we're yearning for love, and association means loving exchange. That's beautiful. Okay, shall we go on now? Manvantara, would you like to read? Steady, Manvantara.
Manvantara,
Hey,
loved a couple of your forums this week. I found out that
Yay.
Krishna speaks Japa.
That was
great.
good.
And I like that one you took with Kennedy also. That ask not what you can do, what Krishna can do for you, but ask what
Right.
you can do for Krishna. That was
That's
clever.
right.
Those were good.
Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 1, Text 16 through 19. Sartha Darshini, Text 16 through 19. Sometimes Lord Krishna grew tired from fighting and lay down at the base of a tree, resting upon a bed made of soft twigs and buds, and using the lap of a cowherd friend as his pillow. Some of the cowherd boys, who were all great souls, would then massage his lotus feet, and others, qualified by being free of all sin, would expertly fan the Supreme Lord, my dear King. Other boys would sing enchanting songs appropriate to the occasion, and their hearts would melt out of love for the Lord. In this way, the Supreme Lord, whose lotus feet are personally attended by the goddess of fortune, concealed his transcendental opulences by his internal potency and acted like the son of a cowherd. Yet even while enjoying like a village boy in the company of other village residents, he often exhibited feats only God could perform. Visvanatha Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. Krishna covered his transcendental opulences with his internal potency, Yogamaya, and played a simple cowherd boy despite being the son of a king. The word Gopa can mean protector of the earth as well as protector of the cows. Though his lotus feet are constantly served by the goddess of fortune, Krishna hid that fact and played like an ordinary boy with his friends. Krishna usually concealed his unlimited powers, but sometimes he displayed amazing prowess when engaged in such pastimes as killing demons.
Go on to read the next one.
Okay. When the boys were thus engaged, Krishna would immediately join them, and catching their hands, he would enjoy their company and laugh and praise their activities. When Krishna would feel tired and fatigued, he would sometimes take shelter of the root of a big tree or the lap of a cowherd boy and lie down. When he would lie down with a boy or a root as his pillow, some of the boys would come and massage his legs, and some would fan his body with a fan made from leaves. Some of the more talented boys would sing in very sweet voices to please him. Thus, very soon his fatigue would go away. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, whose legs are attended by the goddess of fortune, shared himself with the cowherd boys as one of them, expanding his internal potency to actually appear like a village boy. But despite his appearing just like a village boy, there were occasions when he proved himself to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sometimes men pose themselves as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and cheat innocent people, but they can only cheat. They cannot exhibit the potency of God.
Okay, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
There is so much activity about killing demons. It seems to be part of Krishna's life. And as a cowherd boy, it seems like he really relishes that. What can you tell me about that? His whole
I
killing
thought
demons
it proved obviously that he is God. It is the potency of God, because I mean he did this every day, like every day, and so for me it just helps me to see him as someone who can like kill the demons in my heart. Like he is powerful enough to do these things. So it for me it builds trust knowing that he is consistently always proving himself so powerful, proving himself to be God. And so, I mean, that's what it means to me. But yeah, he's just showing his power, his potency as God. But because he's God in absolute, it's so beautiful and joyous. I mean, you don't get the aftermath, the consequence of bad, you know?
Yeah. It's interesting also that this peaceful village of Vrindavan, and every day of the day there's a major demon being killed. It's a real far out setup for that.
I like Yoga Maya's service because she didn't, not everything didn't happen all at once. You know what I mean? Even though, I mean, Krishna is God, he can handle it. But she allowed this little boy, you know, knowing he's Krishna, just to like, for it to come in a way that we can like, you know, process it. Like it's like, you know, really neat and clean.
Good. One more question. His devotees. It looks like he really, really likes to be with the cowherd boys. What do you think that is?
It's love, right? It's a display of love. I mean, when I was reading it, I was like, these boys, they're not ordinary. They're like, they're spirit souls. They totally love Krishna. They're not even trying to fake it. I mean, when I say faking it, they're not even, it's their spontaneous nature. It's like, you know, and Krishna loves that.
Right. So he really loves his devotees.
Yes.
More than I mean, Krishna loves his devotees because devotees love him, and that thing keeps growing and growing.
Right.
Very beautiful.
Right. Now, let me ask you a question. You know, in one of the parts it talked about, even though he's the son of the king, he's referring to, that portion is referring to Vyas, right? Or
well, it could. I read it referring to both Vyas, Vasudev and Nanda Maharaj, because Nanda Maharaj is the king. He's the king of Braj. So he's the son of both kings.
Yeah. And let me ask you this last thing, because you know, you get the sense of reading it from a limited condition per soul like myself. I was thinking, okay, these boys, they're just like a few of them, you know, but there's like hundreds and thousands of them. And so the question is, did Krishna act with the boys in the same way he did like at the Rasa Leela dances? Like he...
You mean expanding himself, using that potency? Well, think about it. If he's with like a million cowherd boys, how's the one all the way in the back going to see him if he doesn't?
Exactly. So he did expand. Okay.
He's expanding in everything. This Paramatma. We see that Paramatma feature in the material world. But he's expanding in everything. And that's a great relief. So we don't have to compete with anyone. All we have to do is love Krishna. It's a great process. I don't know why it's so hard for us to get this. Okay, good.
There's another feature of Yoga Maya that was described earlier when they were eating lunch before Lord Brahma came. It was described that Krishna was in the center and all hundreds and thousands of boys were around him. But because of Yoga Maya's potency and Krishna's ability, every single one of them thought that he was looking at them. Of course, in the Rasa dance, he does expand himself.
So you don't think he expands himself?
He didn't then. We talked about this yesterday at our reading. And it seems to be there's both potencies are available for him. He doesn't have to expand himself. He is everywhere.
Right. He just reveals himself.
Yeah.
So that
okay.
No. So that if he's sitting in the center of a
just
circle,
like the sun. The example is the sun. It can shine on millions of people at once, and everybody looking up at the sun thinks he's looking at it. It's shining on me. I think
Prabhupada
Acharya
said
has a
it.
commentary too. Comment?
Sorry?
Yeah, this is both funny and kind of sad also. Before I became a devotee, I spent a couple of years in a pretty strict Mayavadi ashram, and the leader of that group, in one of his he was speaking and he was recorded as saying, "Oh, why do you want to go? Why do you want to go to Goloka Vrindavan and be a cowherd boy? There's so many cowherd boys there, and if you're sitting in the back of the group, you won't even be able to see Krishna. So better to just become one with Krishna."
Wow.
So looking at it now, it's hilarious, but it's also
Yes.
really sad, such a misunderstanding.
Well, he said
Yeah.
Krishna's name a few times.
There you go. I did want to bring something else up too. Noting how Srila Prabhupada translated something and how it is in the text. Let me go over there. Because you were talking about him being the son of a king. Here it says that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose legs were tended by the goddess of fortune, shared himself with cowherd boys as one of them, expanding his internal potency to appear exactly like a village boy. So I don't know. I thought this is what you must have been talking about. He's the son of a king. He's
No,
opulent.
there's actually a mentioning there, son of a king. It says the son of a king.
Okay. I don't see it here.
Where
Is it in the
wait a minute.
text? There it is. Oh, my dear king.
No. That's he's talking to Birgit. Showed himself the cowherd boy's internal potency. Maybe it's in.
It's in
It's in Vishwanath Chakravarti's Thakur's comment.
there
Oh,
at the
right,
beginning
right.
of the commentary.
This one.
Despite
Yeah.
being the son of a king.
King, right there.
First sentence.
Covered his opulence by his and played as a simple, despite being the son of a king. I think what he's doing is actually commenting and noticing and noting this thing. In this way, the Supreme Lord, whose soft lotus feet are personally attended by the goddess of fortune, concealed his transcendental opulences by his internal potency and acted like the son of a cowherd.
Right. Oh, I see. So he acts like the son of.
I think they're just kind of expanding on that.
No. Because this is saying he's in an opulent position, being the son of a king, and the
And
verse is.
he's still being simple. A
In any
cowherd
case.
boy. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it could. Okay, son of a king.
Okay. I think it's just because they always comment on the verse, on the concepts in the verse. This is an explanation of that. So that I just kind of connected those. Ian?
Yes, Ian.
Hi, Krishna, dear devotees. I'm sorry I missed last week. I think
Yeah, we missed
because
you.
Yes, sorry about that. I had to go out of town.
Okay.
I'm thinking because Nanda is regarded as King Nanda sometimes, so maybe
Yeah.
that's why it is said that he's
Yeah.
the son of a king. So that could be a possibility. Because Nanda is sometimes regarded as King Nanda because of the number of coins. You know, it was, so possible. That's why
Yeah.
they say that he being the son of a king. So maybe that's it.
That's
Ah.
logical.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, who's that? We have a new member of our class. There he is. Hare Krishna. Okay. Ian, why don't you continue reading?
Okay.
It just. What's his name again? What's his name? The baby. Kate.
Unmute Kate.
Bodhika
Yeah.
Krishna.
Bodhika?
Bodhika Krishna.
Hey, there he is. Hey, Bodhika Krishna. Haribol.
Haribol.
Hey.
Okie dokie. All right, Ian, why don't you read?
Okay, so Srimad Bhagavatam 10:15, that 20 to 22, text 20 to 22, Sarah Dashni. Once some of the cowboys, Shridharma, the very close friend of Rama and Krishna, along with Subala, Stoka Krishna, and others, lovingly spoke the following words: "O Rama, mighty harm one. O Krishna, destroyer of the miscreants. Not far from here is a very great forest filled with the with rows of palm trees. In that Talaman forest, many fruits are falling from the trees, and many are already lying on the ground. But all the fruits are being guarded by the evil Lenuka. They shall not Chakrabarti Thakur's commentary. The word Premna, with love, indicates that the request the court boys are about to make is motivated by love for Krishna, not selfish desire. Thus, under the guise of wanting to get the tala fruits for themselves, the court boys actually wanted to offer these delicious fruits to Krishna and Balaram. The court boys said, the trees are dark in color like honeybees, and thus they must have very tasty fruits. But the fruits are under the control of Denuka Ashoya. O Rama, this is a test of your valor. O Krishna, let us see how you vanquish evil. The Shakti Bhava we have for you will not be restricted by this show of power. Rather, your show of courage, Vira Rasa, will increase our Satya Rasa. Okay, friends.
You have to unmute, Sama.
Okay. Before we go on to the next one, there's two things that are really important that we can maybe go through real quick in this verse and purport. First, you know what Sakya Bhav is? Everybody familiar with that Sakya Bhav? The friendship, the Bhav, the relationship with Krishna and friendship. And you know how boys love to fight and show off their great strength and power. So the cowherd boys are saying, "Oh, don't worry if you're going to be really strong and show us your power. That's not going to change our mood of friendship with you because we know they're still in a very friendly dealing relationship with Krishna." So that's I think an important thing in this verse. And what can you tell me, Ian, about the motivation of these cowherd boys asking Krishna, "Yeah, go and get the fruit. I'm real hungry." But it said in the purport that their motivation is only love for Krishna.
Yeah, I looked at it when I read it. So I'm saying, wow, they're encouraging Krishna and Balaram to get the fruits. But in actuality, while we will pray to the Lord, forget stuff, for ourselves, we seek the Lord's attention and mercy. But in this sense, they're asking the Lords to get the fruits, but not for themselves, but to offer to the Lord, which was, very instructive. I looked at it so wow. In contrast to the material world, they're really topmost devotees.
Good. Yeah. And okay, so now read the next one and keep that in mind, what you just said about the desire. Is this all new other one, Pati? I might get confused.
Yes, this is there were two. There are two from Sartha Darshini, then one from Krishna Bhav.
Okay, Ian.
Yes, it should continue. Yes, okay. So text 23 to 26, Sartha Darshini. O Rama, O Krishna, Denuka is the most powerful demon and assumed the form of an ass. He is surrounded by many friends who have assumed a similar shape and are just as powerful as he. Demon Denuka has eaten men alive, and therefore all people and animals are terrified of going to the Tala forest. O killer of the enemy, even the birds are afraid to fly there. In the Tala forest are sweet-smelling fruits no one has ever tasted. Indeed, even though we can smell the fragrance of the Tala fruits spreading all about. O Krishna, please get those fruits for us. Our minds are also attracted by the aroma. Dear Balaram, our desire to have those fruits is very great. If you think it's a good idea, let's go to that Tala forest. Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur's commentary. Could you bring up the page a bit or down? I'm not sure some of yeah. Okay. The court boys inside Krishna Balaram's fighting spirit by describing the demon's strength. But in front of you two, the bravery of the demon and his cohorts will become like flowers in the sky. Let's go, relieve the residents of their fear, and shower your blessings upon those who want to enjoy Tala fruits. This is the intention. Wow.
All right, now we go to the last verse here in the Christian book. And then we'll have a discussion about this whole thing.
Should I continue?
Yes.
Okay, so Krishna book text 2025, Srimad Bhagavatam 10, that's 15, 20 to 26. While Krishna was thus engaged in exhibiting his internal potency along with his supermost fortunate friends, there occurred another chance for him to exhibit superhuman powers of Godhead. His most intimate friends, Sridharma, Subala, and Stoka Krishna, began to address Krishna and Balaram with great love and affection thus. Dear Balaram, you are very powerful. Your arms are very strong. Dear Krishna, you are very expert in killing all kinds of disturbing demons. Will you kindly know that just near this place there is a big forest named Talaban? This forest is full of palm trees, and all the trees are filled with fruits. Some are falling down, and some of them are very ripe in the trees. This is a very nice place, but because of a great demon, the Nukasura, it's very difficult to go there. No one can reach the trees to collect the fruits. Dear Krishna and Balaram, this demon is present there in the form of an ass, and he is surrounded by similar demon friends who assume the same shape. All of them are very strong, so it is very difficult to approach this place. Dear brothers, you are the only person who can kill such demons. Other than you, no one can go there for fear of being killed. Not even animals go there, and no birds are sleeping there. They have all left. One can only appreciate the sweet aroma that is coming from that place. It appears that until now, no one has tasted the sweet fruit there, either on the tree or on the ground. Dear Krishna, to tell you frankly, we are very attracted by the sweet aroma. Dear Balaram, let us go there and enjoy these fruits. The aroma of the fruits is now spread everywhere. Don't you smell it from here? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, well, you speak first about this in reference to what we were discussing before, how the cowherd boys are apparently asking for their own sense gratification. Sometimes Krishna wants to provoke something, so he creates a desire with his pure devotees to fulfill it. What do you think about that? Is this a selfish motive by the boys?
I think maybe it was because the pastime, so engineered by the pastime experience. So the boys, they're talking about the smell, the fruits, and who's there and who cannot go. Sorry about that.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Okay, time out there.
One point that's interesting, you just mentioned it briefly, the Sakya Baba, we learn even in the introduction to Bhagavad Gita that the living entities have a relationship with a personal person. His name's Krishna, and that there are there's Dasya, servant, Sakya, friend, Vatsalya, parent, or Madhurya, the lovers of God. And here, that's being kind of like even expanded. Without reading them, who can tell me who the friends that were mentioned in these verses are? What are their names? Raise your hand if you know all three of them. Hey, there you go.
Go on in.
Sridharma, Subala, and Stoka Krishna.
Yeah, very good.
Yes.
So simply by hearing that we're learning about the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his intimate friends. We don't have to do some special yajna or exercise or penances and work real hard to try and attain something. Simply by hearing, we can understand who his friends are and who our eternal friends will be. think that's
Okay,
wonderful.
I have a question for you on that one, since
Yeah.
you brought that up. Um, Many times I've read in Prema Varta that it's to be known that those who are chanting Hare Krishna and those who are devotees of Krishna, they've already performed all of these different activities, performing austerities, fire sacrifices, yajnas of all kinds. So, and what you tell you, somehow or another, he's making this available to everyone.
That's
But
the
those,
answer right there.
but those who take to it, there's got to be some piety or some
bank
attraction,
account,
something in the bank account.
something in the bank, no
They
doubt.
at least have to write their name and open a bank.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Acharya?
Yes, since Dhruva Prabhu brought up the specific mention of the names of the cowherd boys, that also really struck me because it actually doesn't happen very often.
Mm.
And of course, with the gopis, it never happens. As far as I know, no names are mentioned of any of the young gopis. But in this chapter, there's a couple of mentions of cowherd boys by name. And as far as I know, I'm not 100% sure, just one other place in the Bhagavatam where the names of some cowherd boys are given. So I think that's something,
Wow.
pay attention to, learn those.
Well,
Because we read the Goswami's books and they're mentioned a lot.
Yeah,
I never
then
really
you
noticed
learn
that.
so many.
That
then
actually
you-
Srimad
Yeah.
Bhagavatam doesn't mention them a lot.
Yeah.
Interesting.
doesn't mean they didn't exist, and doesn't mean that they didn't have names or that Krishna didn't refer to them in
Certainly.
Jiva Goswami's Gopala Champu. There's
No,
a lot of them.
From there, we learn, dozens and dozens of gopas and gopis and
Yeah.
older gopis and younger gopis. But in the Bhagavatam itself, it's a little judicious.
One of the reasons I've heard that Sukadev Goswami didn't mention Radharani's name was because if he had, then he would have been very difficult for him to control his emotional turbulence as he's speaking these narrations. So maybe similar with all these different bridge basis, it evokes in a pure devotee and it just such emotions that he might not be able to speak for a while.
Yeah.
Also,
distracted.
Another thing is that we are the Bhagavatam is revealing on this earthly planet certain things, and the Bhagavatam is infinite. So when the Goswamis mention these names, they are already connected with that realm, that the Bhagavatam is referring to. It's not that but it's interesting that you said they're not mentioned in the Bhagavatam. Doesn't mean that we can't go deeper into what the Bhagavatam is actually saying. You know what I mean? When we get purified, as we get purified, my understanding is these things become more revealed to us the more we get absorbed in Krishna.
And even in Prabhupada's other books, we learn so much about different gopas and gopis in Nectar of Devotion.
And Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Oh, the talks between Ramananda and Roy.
Yeah.
Chaitanya.
So there's so much there, but just in the presentation of Bhagavatam as we have it, he's Shukadev, like Dhruva Maharaj said.
That's an interesting feature. Thanks for bringing it up. It's a good point.
It struck me, and I thought it was nice to hear the actual names.
Okay, that's also wonderful. Anyone else? We'll go on then. Faye, would you like to read?
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Yes, thank you. Hare Krishna, everyone. Srimad Bhagavatam 10, 15, 27 through 35. Text 27 through 35. Sharatha Darshini. Hearing the words of their dear companions, Krishna and Balaram laughed, and desiring to please them, set off for the Talavan, surrounded by their cowherd boyfriends. Lord Balaram entered the tall forest first. Then, with his two arms, he began forcefully shaking the trees with the power of a maddened elephant, causing the tall fruits to fall to the ground. The powerful demon rushed up to Lord Baladev, and sharply struck the Lord's chest with the hooves of his hind legs. Then Dhanuka began to run about, braying loudly. Lord Balaram seized Dhanuka by his hooves, whirled him about with one hand, and threw him into the top of a palm tree. A violent wheeling motion killed the demon. Lord Balaram threw the dead body of Dhanukasara into the tallest palm tree in the forest. And when the dead demon landed in the treetop, the tree began shaking. The great palm tree, causing a tree by its side also to shake, broke under the weight of the demon. The neighboring tree caused yet another tree to shake, and this one stuck yet another tree and also began shaking. And in this way, many of the trees in the forest shook and broke. Because of Lord Balaram's pastime of throwing the body of the ass demon into the top of the tallest palm tree, all the trees began shaking and striking against one another as if blown about by powerful winds. My dear Pariksit, the Lord Balaram killed Dhanukasura. That's not such a wonderful thing, considering that he is the unlimited personality of Godhead, the controller of the entire universe. Indeed, the entire cosmos rests upon him, just as a woven cloth rests upon its own horizontal and vertical threads.
Go on and read the next one, Faye.
Yes, Mataji. Krishna book, text 27 through 35, Srimad Bhagavatam 10:15.27 through 35. When Balaram and Krishna were thus petitioned by their smiling, intimate friends, they were inclined to please them, and they began to proceed towards the forest, surrounded by all their friends. Immediately upon entering the Talavan, Balaram began to yank the trees with his arms, exhibiting the strength of an elephant. Because of this jerking, all the ripe fruits fell down on the ground. Upon hearing the sound of the falling fruits, the demon, Dhanukasara, who was living there in the form of an ass, began to approach with great force, shaking the whole field so that all the trees began to move as if there were an earthquake. The demon appeared first before Balaram and began to kick his chest with his hind legs. At first, Balaram did not say anything, but the demon, with great anger, began to kick him again more vehemently. This time, Balaram immediately caught hold of the legs of the ass and with one hand, and wheeling him around, threw him into the treetops. While he was being wheeled around by Balaram, the demon lost his life. Balaram threw the demon into the biggest palm trees about, and the demon's body was so heavy that the palm tree fell upon other trees and several fell down. It appeared as if a great hurricane had passed through the forest, and all the trees were falling down, one after another. This exhibition of extraordinary strength is not astonishing, because Balaram is the personality of Godhead known as Ananta Seshanaga, who is holding all the planets on the hoods of his millions of heads. The whole cosmic manifestation is maintained by him exactly as two threads hold the weaving of a cloth.
Whoa, that was a very powerful thing to read. Just by the request of the cowherd boys, all this annihilation took place. Okay, what would you like to comment on in this exciting adventure?
It was good for us to realize just how powerful Balaram is as Krishna's older brother. To pick up a donkey of any kind and shake them, that's amazing. To throw them to the top of the tallest palm tree is amazing. Having lived in the islands, I do know that palm trees do cascade. When one falls, next one snaps, the next one snaps, and so on down the line. And I could just hear the coconuts falling off the palm trees. I thought it was amazing that in shaking those palm trees, all of this is happening, all of this chaos is going. Balaram and Krishna are calm. The little cowherd boys are going, yay! Mm-hmm. The fruits are falling off of the tall tree. And that one caused me to think of greed. All of those fruits have been there all of this time. And the greed of the demons there was so great that they could not share anything with others. They took that fruit, and that was their property. We're not sharing it. Yet the aroma of the fruit still got away. It was there, and Balaram and Krishna were responding to their boyhood friends with, yeah, we can do this. We can have some fun. We can protect not only our devotees, but the critters in the area. Everyone will benefit by cleaning up these demons. Mm-hmm. So it's a fun way of seeing how the cowherd boys interrelated with Lord Krishna. They loved him. They thought entirely of him. They weren't amazed at his prowess. They knew he could kick butt. He did well.
That's good. Hey, thank you, Faith. Chaita, why don't you tell us what the hind legs of the the significance of Lord Balaram picking up the hind legs and swinging them around? We
appreciated your forum. We were reading it together this morning.
Oh, Jai Gurudev. Good morning, dear devotees. The hind legs are the most powerful part of the donkey's body, and the donkey uses them as a weapon. What I was trying to convey in the forum was that the hind legs can be used without much consideration of the enemy, because they're on the far end of the body. There's not a lot of visual awareness involved.
Just like a reaction. It's just kind of like a reaction.
Yeah, thank you. That's a good word. Yeah, it's more reactive than it is thoughtful. And it's also, it's when you turn your back to somebody and you use the hind part of your body, it's a callousness. It's a lack of consciousness. So the donkey, therefore, uses his strength without a whole lot of consciousness. He just reacts, and that's the end of it. Whereas it's the ultimate stupidity.
Hence, the ass is known for its foolishness.
Haribol.
Thank you. Acharya, did you want to say something?
Yeah, that I really like what you was just described, and that fits in so nicely with Bhaktivinoda Thakur's analysis of he analyzes in his Chaitanya Shikshamrita how different demons represent different evils. So that idea of like striking but without even looking, or committing violence without even thinking about it. Danikasura represents the evils of prejudice and superstition. So I think that fits in really nicely with that. Prejudice and superstition means you're striking out or hating or attacking without even thinking about it. So I think that fits in really well.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. Anyone else want to say something about that? Thank you. Okay, let's go on with Neil. Would you like to read this next one?
Yes, indeed. And good morning to all.
Good morning. And here's a nice picture of what happened to those demons.
Oy.
Oy is right.
Right. The other ass demons, close friends of Damakasara, were enraged upon seeing his death, and thus all immediately ran to attack Krishna and Balarama. O king, as the demon attacked, Krishna and Balaram easily seized them one after another by their hind legs and threw all into the top of the palm trees. The earth then appeared beautifully covered with heaps of fruits and with the dead bodies of the demons, which were entangled in the broken tops of the palm trees. Indeed, the earth shone like the sky, decorated with clouds.
Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. Go on.
Commentary. The earth appeared splendid with the piles of dark blue tala fruit spread out everywhere. The bodies of the dead demons looked like dark blue clouds resting in the broken branches of the tala trees, which appeared as splendid as red clouds covering the sky at sunset due to being tinged with the red blood of demons.
Okay. Go on to the next slide. This is from the Krishna book.
The Krishna book. After the demon was thrown into the trees, all the friends and associates of
Dhenukasura
immediately assembled and attacked Balaram and Krishna with great force. They were determined to retaliate and avenge the death of their friend. But Krishna and Balaram began to catch each of the asses by the hind legs and exactly in the same way wheeled them around. Thus, they killed all of them by throwing them into the palm trees. Because of the dead bodies of the asses, there was a panoramic scene. It appeared as if clouds of various colors were assembled in the trees. Hearing of this great incident, the demigods from the higher planets began to shower flowers on Krishna and Balaram and began to beat their drums and offer devotional prayers.
Thank you. Okay, so now I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
So this first, we see Dhenukasura is very upset in his ass body. He's very upset that about the killing of his friend, and he wants to retaliate. He wants to retaliate. Yes. So one might think that that's a good quality, that he wants to defend the honor of his own friend. But because his own friend was a demon, that is not considered such a good idea, especially in counteracting or trying to punish the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right, the Lord himself.
Right.
So what do you think about following the wrong person? Prabhupada talks about it as the blind following the blind. You can get stuck in a ditch, and then what do you do?
Yeah.
So So do you see the importance, or what can you say about the importance of having the right person to follow?
It goes so much with what Acharya had just made, that association with how we work with or deal with people that have the prejudice and their fight out and their viciously say and do things without going a little bit further with their own personal research. I think it's so easy for us sometimes just to follow the person in front of us and not think any more about it. It's so easy for us just to say, I'll just follow these tracks in the snow, and for sure the guy in front of me knows where he's going.
Yeah, well, that's sometimes, as we have seen many times, very, very dangerous. So the thing that I'm trying to, but that was perfect. And that's a good example of why it is so important in spiritual life to hear from the self-realized soul. There's so much out there. And we have found Srila Prabhupada, or Prabhupada has found us. And we are being given this benediction to hear the absolute truth, pure knowledge from the self-realized person. So
Right.
that's another point, and I wanted to express that to you personally,
Mhm.
that hearing from one who actually is in knowledge and having found that person, then your life is in order. You know that this is the goal of my life, is to first hear
Mhm.
from the self-realized person.
Right. Let me keep my focus here. Yeah, I
Yes.
understand. Yeah, let me keep my focus
Yeah,
on
keep your
what's in front
focus
of us.
on the, now that we have found the person, keep your focus
Yeah.
on hearing from him.
Yeah.
Good.
Mhm.
Okay.
Right. Stay on focus
There
here.
you
Right. Mhm.
Very good. All right, thank you. All right, let's go on with Caitlin. Kate, my darling.
Looks like Tetamayi had a.
Oh,
had a
Chitamai,
question.
I'm sorry, Don. What would you like?
Haribol, just remembering a comment by Srila Prabhupada somewhere in a purport where he explains that when there's a spiritual leader who's phony, who's a counterfeit, it says that he goes to hell and his followers go to hell with him.
Yeah, that is dangerous. That's the same thing about falling in a ditch. You follow the blind,
Yeah,
and he takes you into a ditch, and you stay in that ditch somehow or another, waiting for the miracle.
that's
Yeah.
it.
Good
Okay,
girl.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
And before we go, just everybody can
Oh, yeah.
appreciate, this is the temple, this is the temple deities at Talavan. And in a few places in Vrindavan Braj area, there are deities of Balaram. And this is Balaram. Balaram's the older brother. He was the first one to enter the forest and kill the demon. You can always tell the difference between a Balaram deity. He holds his hand up like this, and Krishna holds his hand up when he holds up Govardhan, but he uses his left hand. And this is Krishna, his baby brother. So if this is Balaram, who can tell us who this is?
Is
Who's
it
Balaram's wife? Yes.
Revati?
Yeah, very good. Yes. Just wanted to bring that up. Thought that was beautiful because it's the Balabhadra temple in Talavan. Okay.
Wonderful information. Thank you, Dhruva.
Yeah, thank you.
Also, Balaram is known for, he puts his other hand to his chest and he's holding
You
something.
can't see it.
You can't see it, but what do you think that is? Never see a Balaram deity without it. Is that true?
Varuni.
He's holding a cup. What's in the
What
cup?
did Acharya say? Did you say?
Varuni.
Yes. He likes his drink. And he's allowed to drink as much as he needs and wants. He doesn't need, but wants. Okay, thank you. Let's go on. Chetya, why don't you?
Caitlin was going to read?
Oh, Caitlin. Sorry, Don. Where is she? Yeah, go on.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Srimad Bhagavatam 10, 15, 41 to 43, text 41 to 43, Sarata Darshini. The lotus-eyed Lord Krishna, whose glories are most pious to hear and chant, returned home to Braj with his elder brother Balaram. On the way, the cowherd boys, his faithful followers, chanted his glories. Lord Krishna's hair, powdered with the dust raised by the cows, was decorated with a peacock feather and forest flowers. The Lord glanced charmingly and smiled beautifully, playing upon his flute while his companions chanted his glories. The gopis, all together, came forward to meet him, their eyes very eager to see him. With their bee-like eyes, the women of Vrindavana drank the honey of the beautiful face of Lord Mukunda, and thus they gave up the distress they had felt during the day because of separation from him. The young Vrindavana ladies cast sidelong glances at the Lord, glances filled with bashfulness, laughter, and submission, and Sri Krishna, completely accepting these glances as a proper offering of respect, entered the cowherd village.
Okay, go on.
Krishna book, text 41 through 43. Srimad Bhagavatam 10, 15, 41 through 43. When Krishna, Balaram, and their friends entered the village of Vrindavana, they played their flutes, and the boys praised their uncommon activities in the forest. Their faces were decorated with tilaka and smeared with the dust raised by the cows, and Krishna's head was decorated with a peacock feather. Both he and Balaram played their flutes, and the young gopis were joyous to see Krishna returning home. All the gopis in Vrindavan remained very morose on account of Lord Krishna's absence. All day they were thinking of Krishna in the forest or of him herding the cows in the pasture. When they saw Krishna returning, all their anxieties were immediately relieved, and they began to look at his face the way drones hover over the honey of the lotus flower. When Krishna entered the village, the young gopis smiled and laughed, while Krishna, playing the flute, enjoyed beautiful, smiling faces of gopis.
Oh, boy. So I particularly like this sentence, and Prabhupada paraphrases it also in his last sentence in that little purport, that Krishna accepted these glances as an offering, as a respectful offering. He enjoyed the beautiful faces, and he accepted the glances of the gopis as an offering of love. Would you like to say something about that? How Krishna accepted that offering? Do you want to put it back, Betsy? There you go. You can read that last. The young Vrindavan ladies.
The young Vrindavan ladies cast sidelong glances at the Lord, glances filled with bashfulness, laughter, and submission. And Sri Krishna, completely accepting these glances as a proper offering of respect, entered the cowherd village. It's just different than, it's just different than our material ideas that we have about, the male-female attraction. It's very, very different. It's an offering of respect. These gopis, we know that they're untouched by Maya, so it's not about selfish desires. It's about wanting to please the Lord.
Good. And there's love there, right? There's love.
Yeah.
So there's a loving exchange between Krishna and the gopis, and he's reciprocating immediately with their glance and takes it as an offering of respect. That's very beautiful. Yeah, it's nice to see that, to see Krishna exhibit these pastimes to show us how he relates to his devotees. And we are aspiring devotees, and we can expect that he will relate to us. But ye yatambam prapadyante, he will relate to us, mirroring the way we relate to him.
And it's inspiring. Oh, no, go ahead.
No, go on. You go.
Just the descriptions of how they, drank in his appearance like honey. I think maybe it says, just it's so inspirational to, my mundane attraction that I think I have for the Lord. But then when we are given these, this is very specific. This is how the gopis, the highest love that there is for the Lord, this is the way they perceive the Lord, and their love for him. It's very nice to have these elaborate descriptions.
Oh, right. But you know what? Having a mundane attraction to the Lord, that is kind of like Rasa Bas there. I don't know. If you have an attraction to the Lord, even if you're coming from mundane, he's so kind. Just look what he did with Putana. She came to kill him. Oh, there's my mother. So if you're going to have a relationship with the Lord that, we're trying to be devotees, and you think that it might be mundane, Krishna's nothing about him is mundane. Just chant a few extra rounds.
Thank you. Thank you for that encouragement.
I think it should. All right. Let's go.
Both Ian and Chaitanya.
Oh, everybody. Okay. So Ian, I see your hand.
Yes. So quickly, in terms of the gopis being morose, it's described as being morose. So I'm thinking, is that a form of anxiety or?
Yeah, morose. They were morose to think of Krishna in separation.
Yes. Right. So we're saying, for example, Vaikuntha mean without anxiety.
Yeah.
But we see, for example, in the mundane world and Goloka, there's anxiety, but the difference is spiritual. There's a kind of rasa in the spiritual in Goloka Vrindavan. in the sense that Mother Yashoda is anxious, about
Right.
Krishna going with the gopis and one and say, So I'm saying that yes, so it's something we've been discussing recently on a platform. We're saying that the whole anxiety thing. So we're saying in the material world, we're always anxious. In Golka Vrindavan, anxiety goes.
It's the source of anxiety. Goloka Vrindavan is the source of everything, including anxiety. But it's for Krishna. So it's wonderful. Wonderful anxiety. That would be nice.
It changes it changes the experience when it's in relationship to Krishna. It actually does something different to the heart. There's a different experience when one is in anxiety for Krishna, Mother Yasoda's or the gopis when he's out in the forest, because it's related to Krishna. And therefore, the current is pure. It's different than, say, a mother being in anxiety about her child out playing. It mirrors it, but it's a perverted reflection, so it's not really the same experience.
Right.
So anxiety in this world, like Ian was bringing up, anxiety and anxiousness are mirror reflections, like you said. It originates there, and because it originates there, even emotions are in our world are perverted reflections of reality.
And can you imagine being in anxiety in feeling separation from Krishna, being in such intense anxiety, and that is, and crying from it. This is a crying school. Gaur Govinda Maharaj called this a crying school. We're learning how to cry for Krishna. I mean, a mundane person hearing this philosophy, they would say, why are you crying? But the thing is that that's the goal of a bhakta, to cry in love for Krishna, and it's the greatest benediction. If you cry for Krishna, there's nothing like it. We want that. We want to experience that kind
And
of.
in this particular aspect and pastime, what's happening is that as Krishna is playing his flute and entering into the village, those girls are coming out. They've been in that mood, and he sees their love. You can see that in the face and expressions of another. They're so happy to see, oh, he's returned. And they're glancing, and they're, like Kate said, they're just totally absorbed in him. And he loves that, and they love it.
Can you imagine? We are attracted to someone who is appreciating ourselves. We're always attracted. If somebody says something nice, you immediately want to respond. If somebody's appreciating you, that's the first step toward love. So what to speak of Krishna, he appreciates that. He appreciates your love, and you appreciate his love, and it starts to grow and grow and grow. Okay, we just have a little bit more. And Chaitanya, would you like to read?
Also,
Cool.
Tata, did you have something to say from the
Yeah,
previous?
I actually had a question about the phrase bashfulness, laughter, and submission. And Kate answered that question very nicely. So thank you, Kate.
Yeah.
All right. Text, let's see. Srimad Bhagavatam 10, 15, 44, 47. Good morning, dear devotees. Mother Yashoda and Mother Rohini, acting most affectionately toward their two sons, offered all the best things to them in response to their every desire and at the various appropriate times. By being bathed and massaged, the two young lords were relieved of the weariness caused by walking on the country roads. Then they were dressed in attractive robes and decorated with transcendental garlands and fragrances. After dining sumptuously on the delicious food given them by their mothers and being pampered in various ways, the two boys lay down upon their excellent beds and happily went to sleep in the village of Raj. O King, the Supreme Lord Krishna thus wandered about the Vrindavan area performing his pastimes. Once, surrounded by his boyfriends, he went without Balaram to the Yamuna River. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. After finishing the description of the Gopastami pastimes in Kartik, the pastimes in summer are told. Balarama was not present because Rohini kept him home to take a Shanti bath on his birthday.
All right, the next one.
A Shanti bath. What is a Shanti bath? I'd like to know about that.
Peaceful bath is some religious ceremony for that for one celebrating the birthday.
It's interesting. In a commentary, I found that it's not necessarily sometimes when they did ceremonies, even just the nakshatra, when the constellation appeared in a month that wasn't necessarily the actual appearance, but the constellation was the same, they also performed Vedic rites. But here it does mention that it's the summer, so it might have actually been his appearance day.
Thank you so much. All right, Srimad Bhagavatam 10:15, 48 through 52. Text. Okay, Sarata Darshini. O King, the Supreme Lord thus wandered about the Vrindavan area performing his pastimes. Once, surrounded by his boyfriends, he went without Balaram to the Yamuna River. At that time, the cows and cowherd boys were feeling acute distress from the glaring summer sun. Afflicted by thirst, they drank the water of the Yamuna River, but it had been contaminated with poison. As soon as they touched the poison water, all the cows and boys lost their consciousness by the divine power of the Lord and fell lifeless at the water's edge. O hero of the Kurus, seeing them in such a condition, Lord Krishna, the master of all masters of mystic potency, felt compassion for these devotees who had no Lord other than him. Thus he immediately brought them back to life by showering his nectarian glance upon them. Regaining their full consciousness, the cows and boys stood up out of the water and began to look at one another in great astonishment. O King, the cowherd boys then considered that although they had drunk poison and in fact had died, simply by the merciful glance of Govinda, they had regained their lives and stood up by their own strength. Wow.
So this is another day in the life of Krishna dealing with the demons. So what do you have to say about all of this?
There's one more slide, Sam. Do you want?
Is there?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know there was.
I can keep going.
Has everybody read? Then she can continue.
Oh, from the Krishna book. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go on, sweetie.
Okay.
It's a small one. You can read it.
Thank you, Mataji. Krishna book, now the texts. Sometimes Krishna used to go with his boyfriends and with Balaram, and sometimes he used to go alone with his friends to the bank of the Yamuna and tend the cows. Gradually, the summer season arrived, and one day while in the field, the boys and cows became very thirsty and began to drink the water of the Yamuna. The river, however, was made poisonous by the venom of the great serpent known as Kaliya. Because the water was so poisonous, the boys and cows became visibly affected immediately after drinking. They suddenly fell down on the ground and apparently dead. Then Krishna, who is the life of all lives, simply cast his merciful glance over them. And all the boys and cows regained consciousness and began to look at one another with great astonishment. they could understand that by drinking the water of the Yamuna, they had died, and that the merciful glance of Krishna restored their life. Thus, they appreciated the mystic power of Krishna, who is known as Yogeshwar, the master of all mystic yogis. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 15th chapter of Krishna, killing of Dhenukasura.
Okay. So what can you tell us about that?
First of all, to me, it's a little amusing that it's such a quick turnaround that's presented. Yeah. They drank the poison, they died. I mean, this is huge. This is horrible. But it says Krishna just stepped in, and by his merciful glance, the whole thing is restored. And thus they appreciated his mystic power. And we also need to be reminded that Krishna has this potency at all times. As long as we stay connected to him, we can be privy to this curing capability that he has.
Yeah.
And
there's never a dull moment. Never a dull moment. I really. Okay, everything's all nice here. Okay, let's go. Oh, the boys died.
Right. It's so
never a dull moment, and it's all filled with love. That is just a little bit of what's coming up next. That wonderful pastime of Kali Krishna, which is very, very exciting the way it's being presented. So
I think what's being highlighted is that Krishna, he needs his entourage. He needs them, and he loves them. There's nothing that's going to get in the way. Even a little poison is not going to get in the way of that.
He needs, huh? You think God needs?
He's all about, like you were saying last week, he's all about relationships.
Yeah, right. He's all about
and therefore he will not let anything get in the way of those relationships fructifying and the adventures they have together. This is the ultimate enjoyment, as Dhruva was saying. This interaction is the ultimate pleasure for Krishna.
And for the living entity too.
For everyone's information, for your scheduling, we've been doing this since 2008, and usually around Christmas and Thanksgiving, things get pretty active in people's lives other than being able to focus on these. So what we're going to do is we're going to finish November and then have only 2 weeks of sessions in December. Means December 1st is a Wednesday, and December 11th will be the last posting of course materials, and then there'll be this Zoom review halfway through December. And what will happen corresponding to what we're just doing now, because of this poison, I think everyone knows that was caused by Kalia in the lakes in the Yamuna. So for the rest of that time, we'll be studying that chapter.
And then we'll pick up again in January?
Yes, right in the beginning of January. So it's just 2 weeks. It's like school. In school, they take a couple of weeks off. Everybody goes and can get absorbed in their other activities and then come back to Krishna Leela.
That's not fit. Don't say like that. No, we don't want to do like that. No, we want to stay absorbed in Krishna.
They'll get absorbed in
other
Jesus.
Krishna activities. Okay.
Hanukkah, Jesus.
Okay. Okay. Thank you,
Acharya?
everyone, for your association. Oh, Acharya-ji, yes, please tell them.
Yeah, sorry. I just want to say that I really like the cliffhanger at the end of this chapter.
Yeah, it's a cliffhanger. That's a joke.
We've all read this so many times, but sometimes I like to think, oh, if I were reading this for the first time,
It'd be a real page
what would I
turner.
think? What would I understand? So naturally, you're going to be wondering, poison in the river, what happened? What caused it? So I just like how that's set up.
Don't you find, though, as we study these things, even though we've heard it so many times, there's always some more deeper stuff, just like with the names you were just mentioning about the names. I mean, we what is being said in the Bhagavatam, we can go so deep we've been reading these books over 50 years and we're still like enthralled about it.
Yeah,
So
refreshed.
it's ever fresh. So that's also nice to remember that.
Part
All
of
right,
that is good
beautiful.
association. So thank all of you.
Yes, thank you so
Wonderful.
much.
Hare
Jai Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol.
All right. See you.